In Argentina, football isn't a sport. It's a blood oath, a generational inheritance carved into childhood, stitched into identity, and baptized in sweat, dust, and prayer. Here, the ball chooses its prophets. It decides who carries the weight of memory and who touches immortality, and sometimes it chooses early, long before the world has time to understand what's coming. Franco Mastantuono didn't arrive in whispers. He arrived in echoes, boots barely tied, face still young enough to blend into a schoolyard, yet touch on the ball already whispering a future the country could feel long before they could explain it. At 16, when most teenagers are figuring out who they want to be, Franco stepped into the cathedral of El Monumental, where banners fall like scripture and the hearts of millions beat in a single rhythm. And he moved like he had already seen this life in a dream. River Plate didn't hand him a debut. Destiny did. There are talents who climb. There are talents who chase. And then there are those rare few, the chosen, who arrive as if they've already belonged. Franco didn't play like a boy promoted out of hope. He played like a memory Argentina already had, as if this was the next chapter of something started decades ago by names now etched into marble and folklore. They watched him receive his first pass not with fear, but with calm, that rare surgical calm only seen in footballers who believe the pitch is theirs by divine right. His touches were clean, his vision instinctive. The moment was larger than his body, but his talent was larger than the moment. You could feel something shift. The kind of collective breath Buenos Aires only takes when it recognizes destiny walking in the flesh. Because here in the land that raised Maradona, in the soil that worships Messi, in the streets that produce genius as naturally as they produce rhythm and fight the arrival of a new prodigy, isn't a story. It's a prophecy. And Franco wasn't stepping into Argentina's football narrative, he was extending it. He wasn't a kid looking up at giants. He was a kid already learning how to become one. South America has a way of turning gifted kids into legends and legends into myth. But this story doesn't begin under bright stadium lights. It begins much smaller, much quieter, in the dusty pitches and concrete courts where Argentine dreams are forged, where the ball never stops rolling, where hunger isn't poetic, it's literal, where talent is respected, but hardness is worshipped. Because here, softness breaks. Here, pressure isn't feared, it is fuel. Franco grew in a football culture where a first touch can make a neighborhood fall silent and a mistake can echo longer than applause. He didn't grow in comfort. He grew in expectation, that invisible force that turns young talent into either diamonds or ghosts. And from the first time he touched the ball, it was clear, this kid wasn't running from expectation. He was breathing it. River Plate saw him young. Not as a player to develop, but as a future to protect. Scouts whispered. Coaches leaned in. Older players noticed the eyes first. Calm, processing, unshaken by noise or pressure. He didn't need to shout to be seen. His football spoke with a softness that cut sharper than noise ever could. Argentina loves an artist, but it respects a fighter. Franco became both. Hours in training no one saw. Quiet discipline. Silence instead of celebration. Grit under the talent. The part of him that wasn't taught, but born. When others wanted the attention, he wanted the ball. When others dreamed of being stars, he dreamed of being responsible. There is a difference, and Argentina recognizes it instantly. And then came the night. The unforgettable night where the stadium lights hit him like a spotlight on a stage he didn't ask for, but had earned. The night he became the youngest scorer in River's modern history. The goal wasn't just a finish, it was a declaration. He didn't run to the corner screaming. He didn't collapse under the weight of emotion. His celebration was measured, calm, almost eerie, as if his body understood before his body did. This is what I do. This is who I am. Social media exploded. Europe paused. Scouts' hands trembled. Real Madrid didn't whisper. They watched. Barcelona kept notes. Manchester City analyzed every touch. Because the football world knows already. Argentina doesn't bluff with hype. When a new prodigy rises here, you pay attention, or you regret it. Millions of kids chase football. A handful enter academies. Only one or two each generation feel inevitable. Franco felt inevitable from the first time his boot met grass at Rivers Academy. But success isn't only built in stadiums. It is tested in silence, in discipline that teenage hearts struggle to understand. No nights out, no distractions, no shortcuts. His life now isn't typical teenage innocence. It's sacrifice. While friends explore youth, Franco explores destiny. While others sleep, he trains. While others joke, he studies movement, tempo, angles. Not because he must, but because greatness demands it. His routine isn't glamorous yet, not in the celebrity sense, but it is monastic. Technique refinement, mental conditioning, nutrition controlled not by pressure but by choice. Every day built around one obsession, unlocking every layer of his gift. And yet, life is already changing. Brand agents circle, cameras appear, fans with shaking hands ask for photos. The city whispers his name in the same tone they once whispered Di Alessandro, Aymar, Ortega, Riquelme, Messi. They see in him not just talent, but continuity, the feeling that Argentina's football soul is safe in his feet. His family stays close, grounding him. His agents know they don't manage a player, they steward a future. River knows they don't coach a prospect, they guard a jewel. And the game knows it isn't witnessing hype, it's witnessing emergence. Because greatness doesn't arrive with noise, it arrives with clarity. When Franco plays, the grass seems calmer, the ball seems lighter, time seems slower, and the future somehow feels closer. There is no rush, yet there is urgency. There is no fear, only hunger. And behind the boyish face, there is a steel that Argentina recognizes instantly. He isn't here to follow greatness. He's here to join it. Europe can wait. Contracts can wait. Narratives can wait. But talent this pure does not wait forever. And River Plate fans know, deeply, emotionally, dangerously, that they are experiencing a fleeting, sacred chapter. That before the private jets, before the Bernabéu roar or Camp Nou lights, before global superstardom and the weight of the world's expectations, they get to witness something priceless. The moment a kid turns into a promise, and a promise begins to transform into destiny. And as Buenos Aires sunsets bleed gold across the skyline and the chants echo late into the night, one thing becomes painfully, beautifully clear. The next great chapter of Argentine football has begun, and his name is Franco Mastantuono. Greatness arrives in waves, first as a rumor, then as a spark, then suddenly it becomes a force you can feel in the air, like pressure before a summer storm. With Franco Mastantuono, that moment has already begun to sweep across football. And yet, if you listen closely to him speak, if you watch how he walks into the training ground instead of how he walks out, if you study not the highlights but the manner, the poise, the stillness, the clarity, you begin to realize something. This isn't hype. This is discipline disguised as destiny. In Buenos Aires, you hear it now, from taxis, from street vendors, from teenagers juggling balls in alleyways. Ese pibe es diferente. That kid is different. River Plate supporters wear his name not like hope, but like belief. Children imitate his posture before free kicks. Old men in cafes pause their chessboards to debate which European kingdom will claim the next golden prince of Argentina. Everyone has an opinion because everyone understands what they are witnessing. But Franco, he barely looks up. He doesn't chase the noise. He trusts his clock. Football is loud. Fame is louder. But true phenoms, the once-in-a-generation ones, carry a strange silence around them, a quiet interior world where everything slows and purpose reigns. With Franco, this silence isn't shyness, it's control. He isn't overwhelmed by attention, he is filtering it, measuring it, storing it. Because what he seeks isn't spotlight. What he seeks is mastery. At River, he stays last after training, the stadium emptying, the floodlights dimming, and there he is, alone under a colossal sky, crossing balls into an empty box, striking from 20 yards again and again until the echo becomes rhythm. The world sees natural talent. Franco knows better. He is building inevitability, touch by touch, habit by habit, and yet pressure does not wait. In Argentina, future kings don't grow quietly. They rise under cameras, under headlines, under 45 million hearts that have tasted glory and expect it again. Fans love you early. Pressure arrives earlier. Argentina is tender with its legends but brutal with its heirs. And still, Franco walks through this furnace as if the fire was designed for him. Not cocky, not careless, just certain. That certainty does not come from ego. It comes from foundation. A family protecting his humanity, a club protecting his maturity, coaches protecting his rhythm, the city protecting his innocence, for as long as such innocence can exist. But innocence never stays long in elite football, and across the Atlantic, empires are already preparing. You can almost see the future when you close your eyes. Madrid's marble lobby, Barcelona's cathedral arches, Manchester City's glass corridors and science lab footballing philosophy. These aren't just clubs. They are futures. And each one sees in Franco not a player, but a generation. The next phase of creativity. The fresh blood around which eras are built. Scouts do not talk about him in comparisons anymore. They talk in projections. They talk in frameworks. They talk not about if, but how soon. The numbers rise quietly behind closed doors. 20 million, 30 million, 45 million, not because of what he has done, but because of what he will do. Talent sets the price. Potential multiplies it, and latent greatness, that rare, unmistakable kind, writes its own economy. But money will not define him. Not first. Not now. Because even as the world sharpens its focus on him, Franco remains grounded in the world that shaped him. A modest home, a close circle, family dinners that feel the same as before the world knew his name. Streets that remember him not as a prodigy, but as a boy with a ball and big dreams. People who would celebrate him just as loudly if he never became famous, because here in Argentina, values matter more than lights. Still, lights are coming. Sponsorship calls, global brands preparing proposals. The luxury arc future stars inevitably walk, watches, high-fashion deals, performance endorsements. But for now, his life remains simple. Boots, training gear, river colors, and headphones on bus rides, staring at a city that loves him enough to demand everything from him. He sees the skyscrapers, the murals, the street tango, the river glimmering under the morning heat. He sees kids skipping school to chase a ball, mothers carrying groceries past stadium graffiti, men rolling down metal shop gates at dawn to start another day in a city that fuses beauty with struggle. This is where Franco learned not just football, but hunger. Not just technique, but responsibility. Not just ambition, but identity. And one day, maybe soon, maybe later, he will lift that identity and carry it across the ocean. When European nights come, when flashbulbs hit him in Madrid or Manchester or Munich, when the cameras circle him like satellites around a rising star, he will not be alone. Because Argentina travels inside its players, its dust, its emotion, its ferocity, its romance, its heartbreak. The same spirit that raised Maradona in Villa Fiorito, that carried Messi from Rosario to Camp Nou. That spirit now prepares another passport, another destiny. He knows it already. When he steps onto the pitch, you can see the inheritance in the way he protects the ball, in the softness of his first touch, in the venom of his shot, in the vision flickering behind his eyes like headlights cutting through fog. This is not mimicry. This is lineage. And with lineage comes a shadow. The Messi era is not finished, but its horizon is visible. A nation that lived under the wings of a genius for 2 decades now searches for its next heartbeat. Not to replace, but to continue. No one becomes Messi. Argentina doesn't need another Messi. Argentina needs the next Argentina. Franco is not here to imitate. He is here to evolve. There will be nights when pressure weighs heavier than applause, when form dips, when critics taste blood, when Europe demands faster growth, when Argentina demands miracles. That is the price of prodigy. Every chosen one walks through storms on their way to greatness, but storms do not scare those born in them. And as Franco prepares for what comes, the packed flights, the bright lights, the language lessons, the tactical meetings with world-class minds, the silent moments in foreign hotel rooms, staring out at unfamiliar skylines, he will carry with him the one thing money cannot buy: roots. When fame rises like a tide, roots anchor the soul. When stadiums scream your name, roots whisper who you are. When trophies glitter and attention swirls, roots remind you what matters. And Franco Mastantuono's roots run deep. Back to cracked concrete fields, to simple meals, to school mornings and bus rides, to a family who saw a dream before the world saw a star, to a club that trusted him, to a city that will forever claim him, to a nation that will one day chant his name in a World Cup stadium and call it destiny fulfilled. What comes next isn't guaranteed. Nothing in football ever is. But there are players who play the game, and players who shape it. And every sign, every moment, every instinct says Franco is on the path to shaping it. Not with arrogance, but with elegance. Not with noise, but with presence. Not with flash, but with truth. Years from now, when documentaries replay his early touches, when children across South America wear his number on their backs, when the world speaks his name with the same breath as legends, they will look back on these days, the quiet days, the humble days, the formative days, and realize this was the chapter where it all crystallized. The world sees a boy with talent. Argentina sees a future with meaning. And Franco? He sees a world to conquer. One decision, one match, one heartbeat at a time. Because some players live moments, others become eras. And somewhere right now, in a quiet room in Buenos Aires, a teenage boy ties his boots, takes a breath, and prepares to step into history. Not to chase greatness, but to grow into it. Franco Mastantuono, Argentina's next heartbeat, River Plate's precious sun, football's future truth, a star not rising, a star becoming.